My fiancé texted me the night before Thanksgiving. I'm bringing my ex to your family's dinner. He has nowhere to go. Deal with it. So I smiled, packed a bag, and booked a flight to Cancun. When she showed up at my parents' house without me, and had to explain why, that was the moment her lies finally unraveled. In front of my entire family, and the man she thought she was hiding. This isn't a story about heartbreak. It's a story about what happens when the quiet one stops playing along. What will you do if you found yourself in my position? Tell us in the comment section. Kindly tell us your name and where you're watching from. We'll love to give you a shout out in our next video. Please subscribe for more stories like this. I was eating a 2-day-old bagel in the office kitchen when my phone buzzed. Her name lit up the screen. I almost didn't look. Figured it was something about groceries or her reminding me not to forget the cranberry sauce. But no, it was this. I'm bringing my ex to your family's Thanksgiving. He has nowhere to go. Deal with it. Not a question. Not a request. A statement. A command. No hello. No softness. Just the same tone she used when asking me to pick up oat milk or run her car through the wash. Except this time it wasn't oat milk. It was the man she used to love. I blinked at the screen. Read it again. Then I smiled. Not out of amusement. Not out of peace. But that strange smile you get when something finally snaps inside of you. Like your bones shifting after too much pressure. Something in me shifted that day. Quietly. Here's the thing. Her ex had always been a shadow between us. I'd catch his name on her phone screen sometimes. Always with some excuse. He just needs help with freelance gigs. Or, he still works with the same client I do. It's nothing personal. She said they only talked about work. I wanted to believe that. God, I needed to believe that. Because believing the truth, that he was still in her life, still in her heart, meant I had been second place all along. But there were signs. Aren't there always? She once answered his call in the middle of our movie night, stepping out onto the balcony and whispering like she was protecting something sacred. I waited 30 minutes. She came back and acting like nothing happened. I asked, of course. She brushed it off. Just work. I wanted to be understanding. I wanted to be that boyfriend who doesn't get jealous, who trusts. The one who isn't controlling. I didn't want to be that guy. So I swallowed it. Again and again. Until that message. Deal with it. As if I was the problem. As if my discomfort was an inconvenience, she was done entertaining. I stared out the window for a long time after that. The office below me buzzed with printers, phones, someone microwaving soup. Normal things. My coworkers existed in a world where my girlfriend hadn't just decided to humiliate me. I knew what would happen if I showed up to Thanksgiving with her and her ex. I'd be the third wheel in my own family gathering. My mom would notice the tension. My dad would give me that look, the one that says, "You sure about her?" And she would sit there, smiling, acting like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't just asked me to eat stuffing next to the man she used to kiss. I locked my phone, took a deep breath. Then I unlocked it again and typed back. I'll let them know. That was it. No fight. No drama. Just a calm promise. I would let my parents know. Just not the way she thought. I didn't yell. I didn't demand answers. I just stared at that last message until the screen dimmed. Then I sat with myself in a way I hadn't in months. Maybe years. There's a certain kind of silence that settles in your chest when you realize someone stopped choosing you a long time ago, and you were too loyal to see it. That silence. It doesn't scream. It whispers. And it whispered one word to me, over and over, enough. So, I made two decisions. First, I called my parents. My mom picked up on the second ring. Chipper like she always was this close to the holidays. "Sweetheart, I was just writing your name on the place cards. Do you want wine or cider at your seat this year?" I swallowed hard. I almost lied. Almost said I had a last-minute shift or came down with something mild enough to cancel, but not bad enough to cause alarm. But then I remembered. I didn't know anyone lies anymore. Not even ones told to keep the peace. "I'm not coming this year," I said gently. Something came up. There was a pause. Not long, but long enough that I imagined her going still, her pen hovering midair. "Oh," she said, "careful now. Are you okay?" "I will be," I said. "I just need some space." She didn't ask about my girlfriend. That was the kind of wisdom moms develop. Instead, she said, "We'll save you a plate." And that was that. Second decision. I opened a new tab and typed, "Cancun all-inclusive resort, adults only. Not dramatic. Not flashy. Just necessary. I needed warmth. Sunlight that didn't ask questions. Blue water and zero obligation. A place where I could remember what it felt like to breathe without her shadow hanging over me. Found a spot within 5 minutes. Ocean view. Private balcony. The price made my chest tighten for a second, because guilt is a hard reflex to kill when you're used to putting someone else's needs first. But then I remembered. She was bringing her ex to a holiday meant for family. Click. Booked. The confirmation email hit my inbox before her next text did. You told them I'm bringing him, right? Don't make it awkward. I didn't respond. Because here's what she didn't know. I wasn't going to make anything awkward. I wasn't going to make anything anymore. I was done manufacturing peace in places where I wasn't even safe. I started packing that night. Just enough to fit in a carry-on. Swim trunks. A good book. A shirt that made me feel like someone she hadn't ruined yet. I took out the coat she'd bought me last Christmas and then folded it right back into the closet. It didn't belong in this version of me. There's this moment, right before you choose yourself, where your hands shake a little. Your stomach clenches. The old you resists. But then you zip the bag shut, and that noise, it sounds like a door closing. Quiet. Final. The next day, she sent me a selfie from the grocery store, captioned, "Getting stuff for your family dinner. He's grabbing the wine. You better show up on time, babe." Babe. The way she used pet names to paint over bullet holes. I didn't reply. I was in the airport by then. Boarding gate. Passport in hand. I snapped a photo of my boarding pass and the ocean-heavy pamphlet I'd picked up at check-in. I almost sent it to her. But no, that wasn't the point. Revenge, for me, wasn't about confrontation. It was about absence. About making her explain herself in a room full of people she thought would take her side. They wouldn't. My parents adored her, for my sake. But my mom watched patterns like she watched the oven. Carefully. My dad listened more than he spoke. She was walking into a room of people trained in the subtle art of silent judgment. And they loved me more than they tolerated her. She thought I'd still show. That I'd fold like always. That I'd grit my teeth through the discomfort and carve turkey while her ex passed the gravy. But no. This year, I carved out peace instead. By the time she walked into my parents' house, hair curled and smug in her confidence, I was 30,000 feet in the air, floating toward a version of my life where I didn't have to beg someone to see me. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like running after anything. I was already gone. She thought I'd be late. That's what she told herself, probably. That I was running behind, maybe stuck in traffic. That I'd text any minute. She walked in wearing the sweater I said brought out her eyes. Holding his arm. The ex. The one she swore was just a friend from work. The one who needed help staying grounded. The one I was never supposed to worry about. She brought him into my parents' home like it was normal. Like she wasn't hijacking a holiday built on my family, my memories, my people. She introduced him to my aunt, shook hands with my uncle, laughed just a little too loudly at something my cousin said. But her eyes, my sister said this later, kept darting to the door. Looking for me. Waiting for that small sigh of relief when I walked in, brushing off the tension, acting like everything was fine. But I didn't come. My chair sat empty. Place card untouched. The napkin my mom always folded into the little triangle, waiting. It was my dad who asked first. "So where's he at?" he said casually, already sensing something off. "Thought you two were coming together." She blinked. Smiled. "That practiced one. Oh yeah, he's just running late. Should be here any minute." My mom exchanged a look with my sister. You know the kind of look. The kind where no one says anything, but everyone knows. The minutes passed. Dishes went around. Candied yams. Green beans. Stuffing. Everyone kept talking, but my name hung in the air like a bad smell no one wanted to mention directly. Then my father, always direct, always polite, leaned forward slightly and turned to the ex. "So, how do you two know each other again?" That's when it cracked. Because my dad didn't need to ask. He already knew. He wanted to see what this man would say. And the ex, he wasn't ready. He cleared his throat, glanced at her, then said, "We used to be close." "Back in the day." "Used to be?" my dad asked. "Yeah," he nodded. Too quickly. We stayed friends. Just work talk, mostly." My dad nodded, chewed slowly, then looked back at her and said, Interesting. Because from what I heard, he wasn't on the guest list until very recently. The table went quiet. She tried to laugh it off. Oh, well, things change, you know. He had nowhere to go, and it felt wrong to let someone spend the holiday alone. My sister stabbed her fork into her salad. Didn't realize we were running a charity. Claire, my mom warned softly. But Claire didn't stop. So did you just not tell him? Or were you hoping he'd play along? That's when the ex leaned back in his chair, folded his arms, and said the one thing that set the whole thing on fire. She said he was fine with it. Said he knew. My mom set her fork down. My father looked at her. You told him, he repeated, that our son knew you were bringing your ex to Thanksgiving? She shifted in her seat, eyes flitting between the faces now watching her with the kind of attention she'd never asked for. Look, it's not that deep, she tried. He said he'd let you know. That's all. And right on cue, her phone lit up on the table. My name. FaceTime. She exhaled. Probably thinking, finally, here he is. Ready to rescue her. Ready to explain it all. Say it was fine. Say this was all just a misunderstanding. She answered on speaker. The screen showed me, sun-warmed and relaxed, standing on a balcony with the ocean behind me. Wind in my hair. A drink in my hand. A slow smile curling on my face. Where are you? She asked, voice pinched, a little too loud now. I tilted my head, squinting at her. Oh, I'm dealing with it. A beat of silence. What? You said to deal with it, I said calmly. So I did. I just didn't tell you how. The phone went silent. But the table didn't. My cousin whistled under his breath. Claire muttered, Holy SH. My mom reached out and gently pressed the screen, ending the call. My dad folded his napkin, set it beside his plate, and leaned back. Well, he said, that answers that. The ex stood abruptly. Look, I didn't know. She told me he was cool with it. I didn't mean to crash anything. No one said you had to leave, my father said coolly. But understand this isn't your dinner to crash in the first place. My mom stood, ever gracious, and began collecting plates. You're welcome to eat. But don't expect us to pretend we don't see what this is. And my girlfriend. No. Ex, really, even if we hadn't said the words yet. Just sat there, staring at the empty chair across from her. The one with my name still printed in gold. The one I'd left empty on purpose. Because sometimes, the loudest thing you can say is nothing at all. Let her explain. Let her stutter. Let her scramble. I wasn't there to protect her from the truth. I was finally done being the one who made her lies easier to digest. And I was 1,800 miles away, smiling into the sun, letting the silence do all the work. I didn't hear about what happened next until hours later. I was already 3 drinks in, toes curled against warm stone, the ocean doing that steady, patient breathing thing oceans do, like it had all the time in the world. She, meanwhile, was running out of it. After the call ended, no one rushed to save her. That was the part she hadn't planned for. She expected someone, my mom, my sister, anyone, to soften it. To say I was overreacting. To suggest I'd misunderstood. To make her feel less exposed. But silence has weight. And it settled hard over that table. My father was the one who finally spoke again. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't accuse. He just asked questions. The kind that sound harmless until you realize they're cutting straight through the lie. So, he said, turning to the ex again, what kind of work do you two do together? The ex shifted. We don't really anymore. Not officially. Not officially, my dad repeated. But you talk often enough that bringing you here felt appropriate. She jumped in too fast. Dad, Mr. Reynolds, he's exaggerating. It's not like that. My father held up a hand. I wasn't talking to you. That landed. He turned back to the ex. When was the last time you two worked together? The ex opened his mouth, closed it, then said, a few months ago. My sister leaned forward. Funny, because she told my mom you two were on the same project last week. Every head turned. She shot my sister a look, sharp, warning. But it was too late. Once lies start conflicting, they cannibalize each other. The ex sighed, ran a hand through his hair. Look, we didn't plan for this to blow up. My mom stopped clearing plates. My dad straightened. Didn't plan for what? My aunt asked quietly. The ex glanced at her, then at my father, then finally at the woman who had brought him there like luggage she didn't feel like carrying alone anymore. We've been seeing each other again, he said. Not officially, but yeah. We've been trying to figure things out. The room went still in that way it does when everyone hears the same thing at once. My mom sat down slowly. My father didn't move at all. My sister whispered, "Unbelievable." She started crying. Real tears this time, not the shiny kind she used when she wanted sympathy. These were messy, desperate. "It's not what it sounds like," she said, voice shaking. "I didn't cheat. We were just talking." One thing led to another. I was going to tell him. My father finally spoke. "You brought the man you're figuring things out with into my home," he said calmly, "and expected my son to sit across from you and pretend none of this mattered?" She nodded helplessly. I thought if he saw it wasn't a big deal." My dad stood up. That's when everyone knew it was over. "You don't decide what's a big deal for my son," he said. "And you don't bring disrespect into my house and ask us to dress it up as kindness." The ex pushed his chair back. "I should go." "Yes," my father said. "You should have never been here. No shouting. No theatrics. Just consequences." My mom finally spoke, voice tight but steady. "You told us he couldn't come this year because of work." She looked down. "So you lied to us," my mom continued. "And you humiliated him instead." That was the moment, I think, the exact moment, when she realized she wasn't the victim of my absence. She was the author of it. Phones came out after that. Not to film, to text, to call, to confirm what everyone had just witnessed. Her parents called my mom the next morning. Confused, defensive, then quiet. Her workplace heard a different version first, hers. About a toxic breakup. About me abandoning her. But truth has a way of leaking through the cracks, especially when multiple people watch the same thing happen. Stories didn't line up. Questions followed. And she started unraveling. I found out because my sister texted me a single line while I was watching the sunset bleed into the sea. "You didn't embarrass her. You exposed her." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I turned my phone face down and ordered another drink. Because the thing about truth, once it's out, it doesn't need you to defend it. It stands on its own. And so did I. Far away. Unbothered. Finally at peace. The ocean made everything feel small. The drama. The past. Even her. That first morning after Thanksgiving, I woke up to my phone blinking with notifications. Missed calls. Screenshots. A long text from her. The kind that starts out defensive, softens in the middle, and ends in apology because she wasn't sure which version of herself would get me back. I didn't read it. I didn't need to. The silence between us had already said everything. I didn't post about Cancun. I didn't need to brag. The point wasn't to prove I was fine. The point was, I was. Not out of spite. Not as a show. But deeply. Quietly. Finally. My sister filled me in later. Not with gossip, but with the precision of someone who watched a slow fall from grace and wanted to make sure I knew. "You didn't imagine it." She tried to play it like you blindsided her, she said. "But then Dad told them exactly what you texted." "I'll let them know." She paused. "And you did. Just not the way she expected." I smiled. I kept my promise. The thing is, I never planned on making a scene. That's not my kind of revenge. Mine is the kind where I take my dignity back in quiet handfuls. Where I stop explaining myself to people who profit off my confusion. Where I stop sitting at tables where I'm expected to smile through disrespect. She called again the day I flew home. I let it ring. She left a voicemail this time, her voice low, trying not to sound desperate. "Can we talk?" I deleted it before the message ended. Because what was left to say? You don't come back from certain kinds of betrayal, not because it's unforgivable, but because it's enough. At some point, you hit your emotional credit limit, and you stop issuing grace to people who treat it like a gift card they can reload. When I landed, I didn't text her. I didn't check if she'd posted anything cryptic online. I didn't ask anyone what she was saying about me. I didn't need the last word. I already had the last truth. She cheated, yes. But the deeper betrayal was how confidently she expected me to tolerate it. How she dressed it up in casual cruelty and assumed I'd swallow it like I always had. "Deal with it," she said. So I did. By choosing peace over proximity. By letting the empty chair speak louder than any confrontation ever could. By reminding her, without a single cruel word, that she was not irreplaceable. A month later, A mutual friend mentioned she was seeing someone new. I nodded. I hope he never has to deal with it the way I did. Because some lessons don't stick the first time. But they stuck with me. I no longer chase clarity from people who lie well. I no longer make space at my table for people who bring ghosts. And I no longer mistake loyalty for self-neglect. My peace now. It's boring, beautiful, uneventful. It sounds like Sunday mornings with no buzzing dread. It sounds like cooking for one and not over-explaining why. It sounds like laughing at shows without waiting for someone else to laugh with me. It sounds like me breathing. And that's enough. Have you ever left a chair empty and realized it was the most honest thing you ever did?